First, I would like to introduce Jamie Cranston, and she can just give you a little bit of background, introduce herself, and how she's serving her district.
Hello everyone, I'm Jamie Cranston. I work for Great Prairie AEA. This 26-27 school year, I will be serving as the Cardinal Special Education Director and the London Superintendent. My background is strong special education background, really strong early childhood background. While I've been at Great Prairie AEA, I've gotten to have some opportunities to cover lots of different kind of roles. So I'm the principal of our shelter school, who are more of our at-risk youth, neglected youth, detention centers, students in Montrose, prison. So also gotten some well-rounded opportunities, and I have a 16-year-old daughter who is a full sport athlete, and a husband who I met in education. He was a third grade teacher who's now a regional director in Fairfield, Iowa, so we run businesses that way. And I'm really excited to be here. I've already met so many great people in New London. Really excited about the community. People are stopping by and visiting and introducing themselves, and I'm really excited to serve this community.
We're happy to have you. A little bit about how this is going to go tonight. So we have 4 candidates for the seat. 3 of them could be here. One of them is on an airplane as we speak, flying for work, so she could not leave. But I have just one question for each candidate to answer, to give us just a little more information. We did have you submit your letters. We all read those and have those here. And then we will have nominations. So the board can nominate one of the candidates, 2 of the candidates, 3 of the candidates, and then we will have a vote. And our vote will be on paper. However, it will have our names on them. We will fill them out. We will give them to Janae. Janae will read the results of the votes. Our plans are we will be here tonight until we have a majority of votes for the replacement candidate. So we have Austin Allen here. Christine, you just know all of our candidates. Most of us know who everybody is in our small community. Austin Allen, I think he introduced himself. Diane Walker and Drew Zane. Chris Gruen is on the list. So I just had a question. I appreciate the information you guys provided. One thing that has been kind of stirring in my mind is I was curious as to why you're interested in replacing our empty board seat and being on the board now instead of 9 months ago when we had an election. You guys didn't take out papers to be candidates on the ballots, and so just kind of your thought process and why you decided that now is a good time, and what assets or what strengths do you think you can bring to our board to help serve this community?
I'll go first. I have previously served on the board years and years ago. As a matter of fact, my son, Mr. White, just informed me that it was 37 years ago when we hired him. I got involved when my son was going, my oldest child, who is now going to be like 44, was going to be put in a kindergarten class with 27 kids and no help. That kind of alarmed me then I was a working teacher, and as a retired teacher, it would have bothered me also. I've spent a lot of time in the schools in New London subbing. I retired from Mount Pleasant, and I've spent a lot of time subbing. I see a lot of really good things that are going on. No district's perfect. I work in 2 others, and I'm going to tell you, Minneapolis isn't perfect. Danville's not perfect. But I think I bring a lot of experience to the table. In my position in Mount Pleasant, I negotiated contracts, I did teachers' rights, I did work for the Department of Ed. My school was a Blue Ribbon School, which is, if you don't know, about 5 schools a year. Get that. I had the best job in the world in education, and I want that for all the people that teach here. My children went here, and I'm going to brag, they're both quite successful. I'm an alumni of here and feel like I've been successful. I was in preschool since spring break to the end of the year, and I see people that are worth fighting for, teachers, to keep them not happy, because I don't know that we're ever happy. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But my big thing is students. Are we providing everything we can that's best for them, despite how we feel about things, despite what I think, what Diane Walker thinks. If we start viewing things through, hey, is that really what's best for kids? Then I think really good things can continue to happen. Did I answer it all, Jen?
Yeah, why did you decide now to run?
I think I just became more involved because I was, in the schools and I was there. I mean, and I've subbed here 3 or 4 years and done some long terms and might be back doing another one, but you didn't hear that from me. And I have the time now. I have the desire. I shouldn't say I've not ever had the desire. But I think now I have the time to devote that I could be an asset.
Reason number one why I didn't draw papers 7 months ago, 9 months ago. I've always had a bad taste in my mouth for being on board. Been around a lot of people that have been on board. Always shied away and wanted to sit back and see what went on. That time for me is over. Right? Time for me to step up. I have 2 children in school that are complete opposites of one another. One loves sports, one loves music, one excels in school, one has some struggles here and there. I've learned to put almost unbiased one way or the other, my personal pieces to it, aside. And that's the strength that I can bring to the board is be unbiased. Yeah. Rounds it out.
I think for me, I kicked around the idea before running for school board and just kind of never went further with it than that. And this year, my youngest child is going to be going into kindergarten, so I'll have 3 kids in school. And kind of just seeing what's been going on in the school district and things like that, and then this opportunity opened up, it kind of just seemed like a lot of things were happening all at once that kind of steered me in this direction where I thought I might put my name out there. Honestly, after reading the letters and what I know about everybody here, I think any candidate here would be a really good board member to have. I think one of the things that I would try to bring to the board is just being active and not just showing up to the meetings and putting in a vote and then going home at the end of the day, but trying to be as active as I can and doing the homework and doing the work that needs to be put into it to do that. So I guess more than just running against people, I guess I just want to try to put myself in a good spot to be a service to the community. I think the people who complain about things and never try to do anything to make them better, it's not really doing anything for anybody. So if I could put in a little bit of work, put in my time, try to make it better, and especially for my kids going through school now, that's why I really wanted to do it. And I thought a lot of things were opening up at the right time, so I kind of just felt like I was being pushed towards that decision, and just thought I'd step up and see what happened.
Anonymous, but at the time you don't know. Like, we're not going around here, you're voting, and she was committing to a lot of response to that. not at the time our board policy says something, so that's what I was trying. And they said it is up to the candidates that if they are appointed to the board, that they are responsible for keeping that code of ethics and keeping that communication over that $6,000 or whatever.
I'm not that
Whatever.
good.
I will find that out for you, but pretty sure. I did address the question.
Okay.
Because both Chris and Diane both said our active legislators so.
I guess I'd just like to say that beyond selling some of you cheeseburgers and ice cream at the restaurant, I don't really know any of you personally. And I really I appreciate you being interested, but it's hard for me. I have to go by this because I don't have anything else to go by. I don't think it's that there's one of you that wouldn't be good. It's just I think when I vote, that's what I'm going. And so I'm just going to have to go by what's in the letter. So please don't take it personally. It's not because I have anything against any of you. So.
No, I agree. I don't really have any other further questions. I mean, I think we have this time. We got really great candidates here. So, and sometimes it's bad when you know too much, when you've been here all your life. So, but yeah, no, I think we have some great candidates. This is definitely I don't have any further questions.
I think we have to take into consideration, remember what our role is as a board member, and any other than serving on the board, and governance, So, there's not some experience that's very important. They all are very diverse in backgrounds and stuff. Mostly working as a team with us, work with us, and I know a lot of people want to be on a board with us. Right? But just remember, it's governs and policies, and that we are responsible for the superintendent's position.
In this position, it's only for 16 months, right?
Yes, it's a okay, so you're going to go for the second. If there's nothing else, somebody else has to They did say that, I'll circle back to you. I believe that they just say something about what is happening about the and we want them, then the appointee could certainly put in paper that that's kind of, if there is a special election, just automatically right on 15. I mean, it's most not planning to have one, but I believe that's what the county had to have. So you are technically till November of 27. But if between now and that time there is a special election held for the London, then this would automatically go on that ballot because we're not calling.
And so at that time,
Then anybody can run, but the appointee that's already on the board can certainly go.
but November 27, there will be 3 seats open. So whoever doesn't make it, if they're still on the last week, they will not be because there's 3 members. Correct.
I guess if you don't have any, other ideas, I guess. So I guess I'll go ahead and start. I guess I will nominate Austin Allen. Yeah.
So this is a unique question. then we nominate all of them, and then vote, since, I mean, because they're all, I mean, this is, if we're not going to happen, whomever is seated is not going to be that. They're all great candidates, so that would be, I would like to nominate all of them.
So this is how it, how it goes is we have our nominations, yes, you can nominate all of them. We vote, if there is not a majority, then we come back to discussion and we vote on those same nominations. So. So like if there was only 2 nominations, we would go down those 2.
Right.
And then if it wasn't majority, then we'd come back and have discussion and vote on those 2 again until. But just the same, just put them all out. Anybody at the beginning, and then you can. And I don't think that we just have to, so I have very little balance. And I did picture. Just time, and I numbered them so I can keep them straight. Just testing where it sits, trust me. Kyle Humminson voted for Austin Allen. Doug voted for Diane Walker. Jessica Boyer voted for Chris Green. And Becky Hayes voted for Chris Green.
Sure. It was just a response to their answer when you asked the
Oh.
question. Austin, I'd like to ask you, what put a bad taste in your mouth about boards and in general? So, you and I have been around here forever, and we both probably remember the time in city council when that was a little bit of a wreck. And it's been a little turbulent here, just because we're, you know, we have different opinions. But can you explain that?
I mean, obviously, when you have video and audio,
Yes.
you get to watch all of it.
Yes.
You get to watch those rocky roads. I worked with the gentleman that was on board and watched a lot of his time get used to the board, and had to be in open ear all the time for that. And we put a sour taste to finding where we can really get themselves into that. Of course, you know, that was years ago, and now looking at it, it's my children, my community, it is my community. I feel like this is the time. 9 months ago, I was hesitant and thought, now, you know, you go back to the short memory. It's not going to be able to be sitting in front of that camera and getting calls all day long. Well, that wasn't the time for me to do that. Yeah, I was really good. Sat in the background. I would say that's similar to how it is. It's you have an open ear, but don't go with the problem unless you have a solution. Always I'm bitten and trying to keep my nose out of the business.
I appreciate that.
I understand that this is a unique situation and it's the last, year-round time in crunch, because we have to have somebody that is about 15. But I am concerned about people attending the meetings. I think we have more than just our monthly meetings going to be coming up. We'll have some work sessions, we'll have some education, we'll have some other special sessions. And so I'm just want the candidate to be available to be here. I guess that's what it is. There is a role in this role. And so obviously I think that's one of my reasons for going on.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I've been through that too, but I think we all try to do it as much as we can, but the third Monday is our night, and we all have lives too, and I think it's somebody who's present. And this is just because, so I don't think that makes it different. And I would be excited for anybody, but that is, I think that we play well. So I would use the rest.
I was telling my family that, you take on the position and knowing that it is a commitment outside of your work and your family life, and there's going to be times where you might have to miss something, an event, or something that you want to go to. And I understand, most of us can't just figure out job things. But then we need to do it at the right time. So
in my classification, it's common or if I'm not sure. And I'm not making this, I think it could be, but I just know that to be the board we want to be, you have to have everybody. I think it will be important, but they're really good when we start scheduling on the special events and just have to be here. We're gonna have to get to the point where we are trying to persuade the others of us so we can all agree on something. So we're going to have to take a position for the candidates you're in favor of. Maybe what they can bring, you know, why you voted, I guess, because maybe you guys are thinking of something that I'm not thinking of, you know. I voted for Christian because of her finance background and her working with kids. I wish that she would have have this conversation with her freshman person, which leads to what you're talking about people thinking about how to do things, though that once somebody knows that but that was what was behind my vote for Chris, is her financial background. I know her a little bit, personally, just because of the kind of but she explained at one time, I guess, involving very new and she audits for the government somehow, so that's got all a lot out of it. But I mean, she just sounded very thankful in what she does, and it's right there in line with what my strong focus is.
I think it kind of makes it a little difficult because we haven't had a work session and we had an unbelievable session.
Yeah, because one of our goals was really focus on is some of our goals to focus on some of our scores or morale or, you know, so that kind of people have to do things to do. So we're
I voted for Diane. I think her being in our schools Chris is in our schools too, but having her education background and as not one of our employees, she's going to hear a lot, she's going to know a lot. It's kind of like one of those things we know what's going on as a custodian, so maybe it's not directly in it. And I think that is an unbiased view that she would bring to us concerning, that the teachers, the morale, whatever, the scores, the workers are, the testing, behavior, the special ed, stuff. Because I know we have lots of conversations with those things. I know Chris does have strong finances and so that, she does not send it to me, some of their audience.
So obviously I voted for Austin. And really, honestly, probably the biggest reason is just, you look at all the candidates they have come up, vested interest in this community overall too. Long time. The biggest thing is just, like, just maybe seeing it firsthand, I guess. I don't know, just because, I'm not saying any of these candidates, I think all of them are great, but I just seen it firsthand maybe of just like the vested interest in the community, wanting, I don't know, because a strong school starts with a strong community. But I'm not trying to comment on having that, but that's just my opinion, I guess. But that, and then just like, I don't even know how to explain that. Like, I guess the biggest thing is just I want somebody that's gonna, come in here and care and just wanna put the right foot forward, just unbiased opinions, just talk it out, have a good conversation when it comes to on the ground, I guess, and we can make a decision if you guys will. So, it's just not,
I had a narrow down to two. Again, so that I don't know any of these people very well, but the reason I chose Chris was because she didn't tell me this, but I had heard that she did bring people before, and didn't really get so I had interest in because I was there. And then in her paper, she said that because of her job, she didn't have the time in the past, but her schedule was more flexible, and she feels she can make it commitment. And because she has to back.
But I'd be able to make a statement real quick. So as I'm listening, I realized that my letter was extremely generic, trying to keep it brief. So I didn't want to leave the meeting without kind of explaining a little bit of my background and things too as well. So I was on the board at the daycare for, I think, 6-7 years over there. So I am familiar with boards and the frustration that can come with them as well. I was pretty green when I first got on over there, but soon you realize how hard it is to try to make decisions when you're not physically there every day, seeing what's going on. And so I can understand getting information secondhand and trying to make decisions based on that, how difficult it can be. And it was really eye-opening for me in that as well. And my job now, I'm the safety coordinator for the Iowa DOT. So I understand a lot of the government workings too as well, bureaucracy, budgets, that kind of thing, policies that you have to work within, and the inflexibility of it all, I guess. And that's why I think I could really be an asset to the board just because of those, my background in those as well, and understanding kind of how they work and the back doors of those things as well too. So, like I said, I just didn't want to leave the meeting without trying to sell myself a little bit on that, because I realized my letter was pretty generic when I listened to everybody else's now. So, so anyways, thank you. I just want to say that. At the daycare, I'm trying to remember. It was right when Dennis left, so that would have been. It's about 7 years. We can still arm wrestle.
I mean, nice to meet you. I mean, to caveat on Kyle, we've grown up together. That's not the reason I want to get out the board, is to stay best buddies with him since we were 2 years old. But I've always been more outspoken, I guess, than Kyle. So caveat off of his stumbles. No offense. Yeah, I mean, I think from what all of you said, biggest thing I'm seeing being missed is the focus of the kids. I heard we talk about finance, we talk about people being gone. In my letter, I'm sure you've seen that portion of it is volunteer time of coaching. Athletics has always been my personal cup of tea, which is where my strength to connect with children has always been. From T-ball when my son was 2, being home with it 2 weeks ago, coaching my daughter. I'm not using the time I need that for my wife. She works with my daughter on that. But that's football season coming around the corner, coaching the 5th and 6th grade. And that, knowing these kids, knowing not near as well, probably as a teacher. Probably knowing them just as well as a teacher, but in a different way. When you're on an athletic field, whether it's practice or competing, you're a completely different student. Pretty much all of the, I would say, 8th grade down, I've been involved with a lot of those kids and understand them. Very more than just my 2 kids, all our 2 kids. But we tell them to let that in, been in the classroom or as a leader to children, you learn a lot of different things about them. I think that's one big strength that I've bring people.
You're absolutely right. The coach can have a bigger impact on the kids and the person's school, because for some kids who are on board, so you're right.
But I just need to look at where we want. What do we want the most out of? And I just can't just be the possibility of the and then I mean, we're not gonna get anywhere if we always like one from one. And y'all agree that any of them can bring some positive things forward. I'm not trying to say anything about anybody, but just from the finance perspective, if, we're looking for, obviously, finance is really important in the school district. Because if we don't have a finance plan, but we have an SBO, and the superintendent, and we have their expertise on board in those things. I feel like that's a bucket that has a lot of stuff in.
The hardest part about this is just like, it's not something that we can have a good conversation. We're able to come to a good conclusion that probably isn't that. You got no this now, that's when and then I can cover it up. And then you say, well, yes. What you've seen, and what letters, and which makes it fun. Not.
I'm assuming all sides, you know, when it comes to it's hard to look at two people that are in the school and two people who's in the school. You know, it's like, and I guess, you know, I hate to say this, but I guess for me right now, within the superintendent, I feel like someone that is in the school is what they need right now. I would never be able to pick between the two. Kind of quick. I don't know, sometimes I feel like this. You know, it's not that you're saying somebody's not good yet. It's either the best or they all might. I don't know, that's just wrong. I guess it's just somebody that nobody knows. And has a desire for nurturing. You know, what generally is that you have a strong SBA, you have a superintendent, a new superintendent, that you have a lot of resources, you might very well get strong finances, or you have a large number of people reach out to you. Obviously, that's my 9 to 5. And so, I'm really looking forward to looking outside the lens of finances now that, you know, we're on the right path. And I do think that it would be in our best interest if we did have someone who was working in schools. But also, on the flip side, president has business school. You know, so I agree. Drew wants it. You know, they have children, young children, in the school. They're going to do different things. Their kids are, I'm sure, going to be involved in a lot of things. I just want to have a respectful, collaborative conversation. You know, and I think that can be had with our kids, so that's why it is difficult. Yeah.
I guess I'm missing having what's in school. I'm kind of trying to look the outside because I feel like, you know, you get all this information from the community. And you have someone that's working in the community every day, and you get to network out to see, like, just like that. You know, I go to have businesses, you know, you have somebody that's constantly coming in, talking to you, which is great. I mean, I don't mind it if you can have a good conversation. And that helps kind of funnel into these meetings, and then now we can kind of get a good idea what the community is thinking. You know, instead of just, you know, maybe it's in school, you kind of get it broader. I don't know, broader. I guess that's probably where the biggest difference I think we're at. I mean, like I said, it's a tough decision. But that's where I guess that's where I'm at. Where I'd rather you have somebody that's more happy. And maybe that's all of them. Just, you know,
To be honest, I'm less of a person that cares about what people in the community think, because I think if it's important, they'll bring it to the people that they need to for research and stuff. So, student success is the main focus, and I know that we are low in, you know, every district is, but we have some areas that we need to improve on. I know we've talked about some things. we've been presented things that they're doing in the classrooms. I'm just, you know, to me, I don't have that knowledge. I don't have the capabilities of making this kind of decision that drives success that way. So I guess that's kind of what I'm looking for, somebody more that brings that to the table first. But success in doesn't need to be sports. And I think typically people do not, boards probably, very few boards probably have any other representatives. Right. We might just do that.
Generally voted for Austin. Who was in the Austin? But we considered for Chris Wade and Justin.
Yeah, I think this young woman in the kingdom. This part's being, you know, about the sponsors and open, but I think, you know, I don't see this coming to be decision about saying, like, you guys, you know, all four of them would be great, but obviously there's some, you know, so you think that they all won't be great. We have to be able to talk to those and come to a compromise and stuff. I don't want to say why we do this. And I don't know.
I don't think that in open public meeting we can do that without the media saying or even putting in the out there on the meeting. So I think that we can vote on it. And we can put it in the session. So,
I understand that, but you're saying one thing, but there's just saying, all of them are great, but then maybe you're like, no, I'm not gonna vote for this one. No, right? You know, so
Right.
that's why I don't know.
right, I mean, yeah.
I guess where I'm at is like, is for like choosing candidates, I guess you could say, is I just don't know anybody that's like in the school. I don't know. I mean, that's just what my mind's made up. I want to kind of start this new chapter off by having the superintendent and principals work together, and not having all this extra stuff coming from the school.
Like a, you don't want to know that. I don't want, I mean,
Yeah.
for lack of a
I just don't want to hear. I want them to kind of do their thing because I want to put all our trust into them. And obviously, you are word policy,
Right.
or paying attention to the policies and all that stuff. But I just kind of want to set that foot forward, I guess, with trusting that they're going to do a great job when we get this thing going and get back on track. And that's what I guess that's what I'm at with why I'm going to keep on choosing my candidate that I chose. Is it's more of a outside community thing, like where we can bring in those ideas and we can make those tough conversations, but come out with a really good results and better this even more. I mean, even bigger step forward. And, giving ideas to having a new superintendent, giving her ideas to like, this is what we think we should do, stuff like that. That's why I'm shying away from I know they're just subbing, but they're in school and stuff like that, and I'm just, that's all. No, I'm not saying that that's anything, from in school, but that's just,
I'm just gonna say it for the last 2.5 years, I've been, follow the chain of command, follow the chain of command. If somebody's in the school, how do they even get to bring it up at one point? You can't bring it up. So it's not like they're gonna come in and say, hey, I said up in here yesterday, and this is what happened. And they can't contact anybody, and they have to go to whoever, so I don't look for that to be a problem at all. But I do think sometimes when eyes are I understand exactly what you're saying, but I'm just the opposite. I mean, do I want a board member? I mean, they just suck. It's not productive. But I don't know how the board member. We can't copy each other. We're not supposed to copy each other. We're not supposed to. We're not supposed to make a phone call. So I don't know how we ever. I don't know how that would be an issue.
I was just saying, just a perspective. Just being not like it's just more of just a perspective. Maybe just that's what I'm saying.
Well, those, the two ladies in Sons and Austin being coach, and he's right there, he's just not in the building, he's outside the building, so it's kind of fun.
Jessica Boyer voted for Eugene, Kevin Davis voted for Chris Ewing, Karen Henderson voted for Austin Allen, and Ben Young voted for Austin.
say, Kyle, what you're saying about this whole thing is called when you're a the person. If you're in the school, you may have some preconceived opinions and stuff about things, even outside, you know.
I think it's easier to have conversations about things when you're not here. That's kind of and I'm not here to say anything, and I'm not saying anything like that, but that's just what I feel. That's what I'm saying. Just have no have a little bit tougher conversation. I guess that's not
Well, I was just gonna say, I get that a little bit, because if I was a student in the district and I was paying on a monthly basis, and I would bring up a reading school or whatever, and then you have the two principals right there, it's gonna be as awkward as this is right now, and this is good enough. So I do understand what you're saying right there, and I do get it, and that's why it's something, I got it, that's why I changed my vote. The two gentlemen who do have kids, like I mentioned before, they probably have, their kids are gonna be in activities, may or may not be, but even if their kids are gonna have friends, and so they're gonna know from a different perspective, not necessarily inside classroom, but from a different perspective of kind of what's going on, or are there concerns that need to be addressed, or did somebody, get a whatever a state period that we didn't know about because we don't have kids, and they can also bring those accomplishments to the community necessarily know. So
the teacher can be wrong, I want to do it. I suspect this, I mean, just people around, I think she's really anybody, or having mentioned anybody in school. Certainly school. I'm sure she's pretty much.
Would it help if we kind of weighed in a little on added stuff? If we added in some things?
yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of conversation about kind of like philosophy of the board kind of thing. So where I'm at with it, my philosophy on like what a school board should be is I am not a teacher or an administrator, and I would never try to tell a teacher or administrator how to do their job. So I guess the way that I see a board is they have their job, and then as a community, we have the job of kind of doing the checks and balances of that. So we vote for people out of the community to represent New London School District as what we want to see our school do. So the administrator will do what they want to do with their employees, the teachers and other administrators, things like that, and then we can come in to kind of oversee that and make sure it's going in the direction the community wants it to. So that's why I hear Kyle talk a lot about community. I hear you guys are starting to talk a lot about community. That's where I kind of see the board sitting at, and not so much as trying to steer, certain policies within the school. We want to see more of this, but I'm going to talk to the people in the community and try to find out what do they see as issues, and just make sure that everybody can feel heard, because whether you disagree or you agree, you're going to be angry if you don't feel heard. And I think that is missing a lot of times in some boards that I've been around and I've been on, is that people come with problems and they don't feel like it's being addressed. They're just going to become a squeaky wheel that complains and just wants to be heard. So, like I said, in my dealings in the past, if you just hear somebody out and try to give them an explanation on why it is the way it is, I know a lot of times this position is kind of just like a middleman where you're relaying information to people just based on what you know. And so if you can just make people feel like their problems are being heard and understood and trying to help, then I think it goes a long way, even if they can't be solved, just in trying to be a relations member for the community. So that's kind of where I'm at with the board.
Then I'm not your girl. I can care less what the community thinks. I want what's best for these children and want the people. So if that's the case, I'm not your person. Because and I shouldn't say that I do care what people think, but I think that I view it more as I saw those kids every day. And the term moral kind of bothers me a lot. Because I think if you would ask the teachers, that's not how they see me. I have great respect for the teachers in this district. Are they all perfect? No. Have I ever met a perfect? I taught in school. I might have been the one that wasn't perfect. But if you aren't concerned about what's best for the kids, then don't consider me. Because that's the role I want to play.
Yeah, my feedback off of that is not, I mean, as a school board, you have to get ideas and information from somewhere. You know, it's not Google AI, you know, to solve the next problem. If you don't network and have connections to other school districts, far and wide, our school can justice. I didn't put that in my letter, but 7 years of recruiting the National Guard. I was with administrators serving our administration here, lunches, Cardinal, Fairfield, you name it, within 100 miles. I did in school and met face to face. Those are all connections that are still there. You don't forget the hand to feed you. And that was kind of our motto in the Guard: is you bring food in, everybody's your best friend. And you know, I'll remember those faces, those people, and I watch them move through social media, where the superintendents are landed, as they go around. Burlington is where one county is where I recruited. You know, it's Burlington, Minneapolis. You know, some of those schools that we're seeing right now that have great things going on. And there's no reason why not reaching out to them and picking their brain and bringing some of that here. It may be right, it may be wrong. They obviously have to filter when you're looking into those things. But if we're not having those conversations and trying to make those connections, or have someone that has those connections, it's injustice to the students.
Ben Moore voted for Devin Walker. Becky Hayes voted for Christine. Jessica Boyer voted for Zane. And Kyle Thompson voted for us. I will have to say I appreciate the comment, you know, you guys adding stuff. Right. I just. Right. Whatever sounds. Yeah, I said what I think, yeah.
Piece of the another. I can go 5 pages and tell you every single thing about. You know, a resume. We've told a little more. Whatever's hard to write in that piece of it. But yeah, I mean, my daily job is working in the trades, working on garage stores, and the business Mount Pleasant. My dad owns it, runs it. My wife and I both work there. It's a small business, local. I can make time for about anything. Comes down to much. My parents are gonna hand me down the road on my job. Maybe you're listening right now. You're shaking your head and saying that, but yeah, I mean, it's the time for me is there. It's available. Unless ambulance or the hospital not pleasant breaks, usually get out of anything to make something like this happen. One will be in 6th grade. The other is
Well, if they apply soon, they have opportunity to.
Kindergarten, 2nd, 5th.
I just wondered what your thoughts were on the 6th grade restructuring, since you have it.
Yeah, for a 6th grader, growing up through for myself, quite a few years ago, I thought it was the greatest thing as a 6th grader to get up and be bigger. That's what stuck with me. So I was bitter through a lot of that preliminary conversation. But obviously, when you listen to the board meetings and hear some of those discussions and talk to different people that are decision makers or will have to make room, it made sense. And my son has never heard me say it was a bad decision or a good decision. It wasn't my decision. And like I said, it's not my decision. I bite my tongue. That's going crazy. Yeah, I mean, like I told Mr. Walls at the time, I said, my son may not be very happy about this. I said, but prove me wrong. Like, that was me going back for my son without me even knowing it. That was me being selfish in that realm. Because I enjoyed that jump as a 6th grader. But like I told him, I don't have any skin in the game to make that decision, right or wrong. Prove me wrong. Make it work. You guys obviously have done more research than I had at the time, so that was my stance on that. My daughter, as soon to be 4th grader, she won't know the difference. So she will be sent in and have to see her brother for 1 more year in elementary school. She loves it.
Can I address that here? Thank you. There's so much more, in my opinion, of bringing the 6th grade back to the elementary than room. And I was there. I know what it looks like. But I experienced junior high, I've experienced middle school, and if you're in education long enough, you're going to experience it again. But I think the developmental appropriateness of bringing them back, not just leaving them in a part of the high school and calling them self-contained or whatever word you want to use, literally bringing them back, because the world it's rough being a kid, and the shelter. If I'm a shelterer, I probably was, and the children were probably sheltered. But the longer we can keep them as naive as we can keep them to the bad things, not to the good things, I just think that the decision really was developmentally, in my opinion, very appropriate. I just got done with the 6th grade in a middle school, and it was completely different than when those 6th graders were in the elementary. Completely different ballgame. So there is a difference in a 6th grader and a 7th grader, let alone a 6th grader and an almost freshman.
I guess when I look at it, I see it a little bit differently, and I don't know a lot. Probably don't know a lot of the information that went into why that change had to happen. But from what I understand, there was a position that they couldn't fill, and that's why it kind of had to happen that way. But to me, that seems really reactionary for a big move like that to happen because one position couldn't be filled. I guess I wonder why it couldn't, why that position couldn't get filled. First of all, like why we're not being able to recruit teachers the way we want to, and then why there isn't some sort of backup plan if something like that happens to where someone can move into that role until someone can be found. So as far as developmentally wise or what's better for the kids, it feels like a separate discussion to me, because to me it was like reacting to what happened. It wasn't like, hey, we think the 6th grader needs some more time down here, that's why we're going to move them. It felt like it was happening because we don't have this position, we have to, kind of thing. So I guess to me the decision wasn't really made on what was best for the 6th grader. It was more made on, we can't fill this position, we don't know what we're going to do, so we have to do something, kind of thing. So that's where I feel like I look at it a little differently on that. But like I said, I probably don't have half the information you guys did when you made that decision. But just from the outside looking in, that's what I was kind of confused about, was why the situation even came into effect in the first place.
Yes. But anybody is going to keep your thing. Stay loyal, but if you do, position that you can do, that's the
All right.
should be good.
Get down on the someone comes out or what?
You're fixing up.
Yep.
You solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, state of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of your office of board member and the even to as now and to God forever.
Ooh.
Oh, you did it, okay.
Yes, I
Oh, you know, you got it.
And, I was talking to Tammy today, and she wants to stay at the time that, she can have these trainings with us, but she said we work in September, so I don't know if you want to get this before our September meeting, to do something, or. I think it was like January. And she said she's coming in, so.
I believe that you'll have to have another meeting with anybody, all of the, everybody.
So. Like I said, we will be having some, work sessions, he made some texts out a lot, or, we'll get us, so if you get a text message from, like, the mayor, you can just respond individually, you can respond to us, it's like a form. So I'll ask Tammy about 5 o'clock on September. I'm saying the drop off in the association school board. And so she can, what she did about this, I was having the wrong, so that's about this one.
I'll be there.
Maybe you're gonna be our vote, that's fine. I mean, I'll go for the show. Like, yeah,